All right, welcome in. Mount Polumbus Speaks here. Good to be with you guys. I know we got Thursday night football going on, a real barn burner, 6-3. The 49ers versus the Rams right now, but I figured I'd take a chance here to get caught up on a little scouting report on a really pivotal game for the Denver Broncos. Quite frankly, you could argue that this matchup against the Colts this weekend, the most important game for the Broncos since the AFC Championship game against the Patriots that I played in 2015. Had Adam Schefter on the show today. That's what his thoughts were. Once I really thought about it for a second, I was like, damn, he's got it right. There is a whole lot riding on this matchup against the Colts. If you win this game, the odds of the Broncos making the playoffs, 89%. You drop it, and those odds go all the way down to 47%. So this really is a pivotal matchup. Look, the Broncos and the Colts are neck and neck in the race for the playoffs right now. And it feels like, although they're very close in overall record, these two teams feel like they should be leap years apart. But Vegas wouldn't necessarily agree with that. When you look at the line for this game, Vegas has only got the Broncos favored by 3.5 points. So when you play at home in the NFL, generally speaking, Vegas is going to give you 3 points just for playing at home. So they gave them that extra half point. And basically, what Vegas is telling you, more or less, this is a pick 'em game according to the odds makers down out there in the desert. So be fascinated to see how all that unfolds. Look, this game is being played at home, and that's a good thing because Broncos have played pretty well at home. The weather is going to be fantastic. So if you got tickets, no reason to not be going to this game. I know the last game, it's been 2 weeks since Broncos have played. It feels like it's been a month. I know the last home game, there was like 7,000 no-shows, which is very unusual here in Denver. And I think it was actually probably more than that, quite frankly. But if you got tickets to this game, it's going to be beautiful weather, 54 degrees out there, and no reason to not show up because this is a big boy. So let's get into this thing and let's talk about the matchup that we've got. Look, we all know the stories going on with Anthony Richardson, the quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts. A few weeks back, Anthony Richardson taps out. He's in the middle of a series and he taps his helmet. For any layman's out there that don't know what that means, in football language, that means I'm tired, get me out of here. You see running backs do it all the time. You see wide receivers do it all the time because those are positions that they rotate players in and out. You get tired, you run down the field. Never in the history of mankind have you ever seen a quarterback tap out because he was tired until you had Anthony Richardson. And the Colts decided, you know what? We don't like this dude. We don't like the attitude he's bringing. We don't like that he tapped out. They benched him. They brought Joe Flacco in, and the Joe Flacco experience did not last very long. He played a handful of games, but the Colts decided to move back to Anthony Richardson. And when you play Anthony Richardson, I'm telling you, flip a coin because you don't know which Anthony Richardson you're going to get. Dude, there are days that Anthony Richardson cannot hit the broadside of the barn. I'm telling you, man, the completion percentage on the season for Anthony Richardson, 47.4%. That is garbage. I mean, that is actual garbage. An NFL quarterback with a completion percentage under 50% is horrendous. But what the hell are you going to get on any given Sunday, man? Flip the coin. Is it going to come up heads or is it going to come down tails? Because lo and behold, they put Anthony Richardson back into the starting lineup a couple weeks back, and it looks like he knows how to play football a little bit. Anthony Richardson was put back into the starting lineup on November 17th against the Jets. And in that game, he threw for 272 yards and 1 touchdown. The next week, look, these numbers I'm about to tell you, I realize they're not gaudy. I realize they're not screaming world beater numbers, but he is improving. The next game against the Lions, but let me back up. Sorry. So against the Jets, 272 yards and 1 touchdown, but the completion percentage for Anthony Richardson was much, much better. He was completing passes. He was taking the gimmies. He wasn't just trying to launch the ball down the field. He took that completion percentage up to 66.7%. But then the next week against the Lions, well, it kind of fell off the map again. Completion percentage goes down to below 40%, 39.3. Last week against the Patriots, well, 2 weeks ago, because both teams here are actually coming off the bye week. 2 weeks ago against the Patriots, threw for 109 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and he also put the ball on the ground. I think it was 3 times, if I remember correctly, and the defense didn't recover all those, but Anthony Richardson actually put the ball on the ground 3 additional times, so it could have been 5 turnovers. Anthony Richardson can be an absolute turnover machine, but the one thing that he does well, he runs. Anthony Richardson can run and he can hurt you. When Anthony Richardson takes off and he runs, he gets about 15 yards a pop. So very, very dangerous when he gets outside the pocket. And the Colts have not schemed up as many designed quarterback runs as I would have thought they would. I think that young quarterbacks, they go through this. Justin Fields went through it with the Bears where they're trying to protect the player. They don't want to get him hurt. So I'm actually surprised that the Colts have not been running Anthony Richardson as much as they probably should be. But lo and behold, they're starting to figure that out, and there are more designed quarterback runs. When you get designed quarterback runs, that's 11 on 11 football. See, what most people don't understand is you play 10 on 11. It's offense has got 10 guys, the defense has got 11 guys because the quarterback doesn't count in terms of blocking. So you're always one hat empty. But when you run your quarterback, it's 11 on 11 football, meaning you've got a hat for everybody that's on the field. So I would expect the Colts to run Anthony Richardson quite a bit more in this game. All right, next player to watch, if I can get my slideshow to work right here. Okay. That went out of order, but that's okay. Next player to watch is going to be DeForest Buckner. DeForest Buckner has been a fantastic football player for a long time in the NFL. Plays on the interior of the defensive line. So most of the time when you think about disruptors, especially in the pass rush department, you're thinking about edge rushers. You're thinking about defensive ends, the Von Millers of the world. Well, the Colts have actually got 2 guys on that team on the interior defensive line that are damn good football players. We'll start with DeForest Buckner. I'm going to talk about Leatu Latu. I think I was close. But we'll start with DeForest Buckner. 6 sacks on the season, 44 tackles. You got to know where this dude is. You got to have a plan. Now, fortunately, the Broncos have got a really good offensive line. Garrett Bowles just got paid today. He just got his extension. Your left tackle's paid. Ben Powers is paid. Quinn Miners is paid. Mike McGlinchey is paid. So you've got some good offensive linemen on this Broncos team to go up against some good defensive linemen on this Colts team. But DeForest Buckner is a fantastic football player. Okay, moving on. Another player that you're going to watch here in his rookie season. This is Latu. Latu. I think I was close again. Probably not. Rookie player here. Okay, another interior defensive lineman that's able to get after the quarterback. Kind of similar to the Broncos, where the Broncos have got 2 guys in Jonathan Franklin Myers and Zach Allen that get after the QB. The Colts have got the same situation. Latu's got 4 sacks on the season, but you don't just look at that stat line because it goes much deeper with this young football player. He's got 3 forced fumbles to go along with those 4 sacks. He's got 4 TFLs to go along with those 4 sacks and 3 fumbles. And he's also got 12 quarterback hits. So the Colts don't have tremendous edge rushers. They've got a couple guys that get after the QB, but their best players in the pass rush department are actually going to come on the interior defensive line for them. All right, moving on here. I just got Buckner twice there. Okay, here's a guy we got right here that you might not even know his name. Alec Pierce. If you're a football fan, you probably know his name. If you're a casual football fan, you probably don't. Alec Pierce does not necessarily have world beater numbers. Again, we're talking about a relatively average Indianapolis Colts team here, so there's not a whole lot of superstars out there. But they've got some players that are productive if you look into the nuances of the game. Alec Pierce has got, let's see, I got this written wrong here. Gosh darn it. You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to Google it because my numbers got all out of whack. 1 second. All right. On the season, Alec Pierce has got 29 receptions, which is not a ton, and he's got 645 yards, which is pretty good, not great. If you expand that out to the end of the season, you're probably looking about 800, maybe 900 yard season if he's got some fantastic games here to finish out the year, which is on track for a good season. But if you look at the other details of what Pierce is doing really, really well, when he catches the ball, he gains yards. He gains a lot of yards, 22 yards a pop every single time he catches the ball. And he's also got 5 touchdowns to go with it. So good playmaker out there for the Colts at the wide receiver position. And then the last guy here is a name that everybody's going to know, Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor is having a productive season. Maybe not his best season. He's got 804 yards, which is fantastic. I know Denver Broncos fans would love to have a running back with 804 yards. But he's not been as explosive on the down-to-down basis as he's been in years past. His average when he runs the ball is 4.3, which is okay. That's fine. In the NFL, kind of the pass fail line of average per attempt is 4. So he's beyond the pass fail line, but he's the type of dude that's just going to pick up his yards by reps after reps, attempt after attempt, and lo and behold, Jonathan Taylor's going to have a 100-yard game. He picked up 96 yards against the Pats in their last game. So those are the 2 biggest playmakers, or the 3 biggest playmakers on the offensive side for the Colts. You're looking at Anthony Richardson, you're looking at Jonathan Taylor, and you're looking at Alec Pierce. On the defensive end, the guys you want to keep an eye on are DeForest Buckner and Latu. All right, moving on. Okay, that little chat thing will go away here in a second. I apologize. By the way, if anybody's out there, you want to get interactive on this stream, you got any questions for me, send in your comments, whether you're watching on Twitter, on YouTube, Facebook, wherever you're at right now. I can read your comments. They'll come in live here, and we can interact here a little bit if you want to get at it. So when you look at this matchup between these 2 teams, statistically speaking, they're actually relatively similar in a lot of categories. Look, the Colts offense, they're 23rd overall. The Broncos offense, 21st overall. All right, not a huge difference there, but let's look at the matchups respectively, offense versus defense. So when we look at this Colts offense, like I just said, 23rd overall in the NFL with 311 yards per game. They're pretty good in the rushing department. And like I said, they're not really explosive in the running game, but they just stay at it. They're currently 14th in the NFL. They're averaging 118 yards per game on the ground. So the Broncos are going to have to do a great job of controlling the running game. Look, Anthony Richardson's most dangerous when he's got the ball in his hands and he's running, not when he's throwing. So you've got a running quarterback and you've got a good running back there. The Broncos are going to have to do a good job there. But look, you've got the 23rd overall offense going up against the 8th overall defense. But I think we all know that this Broncos defense, they're really a whole lot better than 8th overall. Unfortunately, there's been a few statistical anomalies, including the last game in which this Broncos defense has not played great, but they've got the 6th best rushing defense in the NFL. So I like that matchup. What are the Colts best at? Running the football. What are the Broncos good at defensively? They're good at stopping the run. The Broncos in the passing department, actually, we're just kind of average. And I think a lot of that has to do with last week when Riley Moss was out. But they are ranked 19th in overall passing defense. They give up 221 yards per game. But that Colts offense, they're not very good at throwing the ball. They're currently ranked 26th in the NFL. They throw for about 192 yards per game. Now let's flip it. Let's look at the Denver Broncos offense versus the Indianapolis Colts defense. So the Broncos offense, we all know, has been up and coming, right? Every week that's gone by, it's gotten better and better. Bo Nix has gotten better and better. Cortland Sutton's getting more and more comfortable. The one thing that this Broncos offense has been missing is a consistent week in, week out rush attack, which sucks. But I like the matchup. This is pretty even when you look at these 2 because you've got the 21st overall offense from the Broncos going up against the 29th overall defense against the Colts there. Broncos are currently 20th in rush offense, and the Colts are second to last in rush defense, 31st in the NFL. So this would be a great week for the Denver Broncos to put their heads down, say, we're going to run the football, and don't pick your head up until you've got a 100-yard rusher. Don't stop. some way, somehow, this Denver Broncos team has got to find some consistency when they run the football. And this is the week in which you want to do it because you're going up against the second worst rush defense in the NFL. Javonte Williams has been frustrating this year, and yet he's also been really good at times this year. I know the last few weeks for Javonte Williams looks terrible. And I'm not sitting here telling you that you got to feel bad for Javonte Williams, nor am I telling you that Javonte Williams is going to rebound. But what I am telling you is that if history tells you anything over the course of the season, generally speaking, after Javonte has a couple bad games, he has a great game. He's had some great games this year. The Jets was one. And I can't figure out what's wrong with Javonte. I don't know if it's the knee. Maybe he'll just never be the same. But I think it's time that Javonte loses his starting job. And it's time for Audric Estime to take over as the workhorse of this Denver Broncos offense. Look, Jaleel McLaughlin is a fan favorite, just like Philip Lindsay was a fan favorite a long time ago. The fans loved the scat backs, and I love Jaleel McLaughlin as well. Don't get me wrong. I would love to see Jaleel get a minimum of 10 touches per game, and he doesn't always get that, but he's not a workhorse running back. A workhorse running back is a dude like Audric Estime, and Audric Estime has been frustrating as well this year. So I'm not telling you that Audric Estime has been fantastic. He's not, but he's had moments where he's looked pretty good. What I know is that Jaleel has shown he's not going to get it back. And I hate to say it because I'm a huge fan. Excuse me, did I say Jaleel? I meant to say Javonte. What Javonte is showing us, he's not getting it back, man. And I hate to say that because I'm a huge fan of Javonte Williams, and he's done a lot of good things for the Denver Broncos offense. But it's time, man. It's time for this Broncos offense to turn the stone, pass it on over. It's time for Audric Estime to take over as the starting running back for the Denver Broncos. All right, so in this game, how do you beat the Colts? Well, I've already told you the importance of winning this game. If you win this game, the Denver Broncos odds of making the playoffs jump up to 89%. It's damn near a lock. You win this game, and then you got to find one more victory in your final three. If you lose it, the Broncos' odds of making the playoffs jump all the way down below 50%, down to 47%. So this is a pivotal game in the Denver Broncos season. Absolutely pivotal for the Broncos to find a way to get a victory here against the Colts. You'll be in the driver's seat, and the last thing that you want is to be going up against a tough stretch for your final three games and the Chargers, the Bengals, and the Chiefs, and have to win 2 out of 3 of those. That's a lot of pressure that you don't want to have. And I do think the Broncos are going to beat the Colts this weekend, and here's how they're going to do it. You cause pressure on Anthony Richardson, and he'll cough the ball up. If you create confusion for their quarterback, he will give you a turnover or 3. That's what he is showing us. Anthony Richardson is an erratic quarterback that you flip the coin and you never would know what you're going to get. So I'm not trying to get cocky here because believe me, Anthony Richardson has got a wicked arm. He's got crazy good legs. He's plenty capable of beating you, but he's so inconsistent that what I know is that when you pressure Anthony Richardson, he does dumb things. What the Broncos have done in the last few weeks, anytime they go after a running quarterback, they tend to change what they do defensively. And I think that needs to change this time. You go back against that Colts game, you go back and look at what the Broncos did last week. And when the Broncos do not blitz heavy, they tend to give up big yards. That's what the identity of this Denver Broncos defense is. They're a man coverage team that brings pressure left, right, and center, and they do it every freaking play. Spin the Rolodex, find a new blitz, call it on the next play. That's what has made the Broncos so good. Well, the Broncos had to get away from that last week because Riley Moss was out. But I say screw it. Go back to what makes you good. There's a tendency when you play running quarterbacks to have your edge rushers kind of box him in rather than run the hoop. Whereas like old school football, it used to be, hey, never let the quarterback out of the pocket. So never rush deeper. Well, that changed years ago with the Von Millers of the world. But when you play Lamar Jackson, you kind of go with the box rushes. So you go bull rush, bull rush, bull rush, and you try to contain that quarterback inside that pocket. I say screw that this week. Set your edge rushers free. Let Nick Bonito be Nick Bonito. Let Jonathan Cooper be Cooper. Run the hoop, cause chaos, create pressure for Anthony Richardson, and he's going to cough the ball up. I know Anthony Richardson is dangerous with his feet, but he's not going to beat the Denver Broncos running the football. The only way that the Colts beat the Broncos is if they beat them off big plays. And when you play the Colts, it's tempting to go with the Tim Tebow offense where you just dare them, Tim Tebow defense, I should say, where you just dare them to throw the ball over the top of the defense. But you got to be careful because Richardson's got a great arm. Create confusion, he'll turn the ball over. Okay, the other thing the Broncos got to do in this game, feed the beast. Courtland Sutton has become a beast this season. Garrett Bowles just got an extension, and I hope that Courtland Sutton is up next because he's earned it. Courtland Sutton has turned into a true number one wide receiver. And the last the last 6 games, Courtland Sutton, 102 yards, 97 yards, 78 yards, 70 yards, 122 yards, 100 yards. The chemistry, the connection between Bo Nix and Courtland Sutton is a beautiful thing. Continue to feed the beast. That's his whoopee. Courtland Sutton is his safe place. Feed Courtland Sutton and good things are going to happen. Marvin Mims has been more productive. Troy Franklin's even trying to figure some things out. I love Devon Vele. All of a sudden, I kind of like our wide receiver room. Feed the beast. You'll have a lot of success. And the third and final key to victory when you play the Indianapolis Colts this week, you better have a better game plan without Riley Moss at that second cornerback position. Because last week with Riley Moss out, Levi Wallace got toasted. And what the Broncos did is they got away from all their man pressure because they didn't want to have Levi Wallace going man on Jerry Jeudy or any of the other wide receivers. And that really hurt the Denver Broncos. Look, I don't know what the answer is going to be this week. I don't know if you put McMillian out there. I don't know what the Broncos are going to do. But what I do know is you better have a better plan than you had last week because Riley Moss isn't playing in this game. And sadly, Riley Moss might not be back for a few more weeks. You better figure out the plan. The Colts are coming off the latest bye week you could possibly get, and the Denver Broncos are coming off the latest bye week you could possibly get. Both these teams have had 2 weeks to prep for this game. It feels crazy to say in a game in which we all expect the Denver Broncos to win, and I expect that as well. It's crazy to say this is the most important game the Broncos have had since the AFC Championship game in 2015, but it's the truth. Win this game and the Broncos are going to the playoffs. You lose it, and it's going to be really tough. All right, that's it, folks. Let's have a big win this weekend, and I will put out the all 22 shortly after the game. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Until next time, talk to you guys later.